Good morning, guys. Back again with another video. I've got my Starbucks coffee right here. Just kind of sipping on my Starbucks coffee while I share these three principles that I'm able to apply in my own life. The title of this video will be "Until you understand these three principles about freedom, you will never be free." And it's something real different, even though I've talked in the past about freedom, how freedom is a trap set by society. Freedom is not really free. It's a trap set by society. But today we want to look at it from a different perspective while I drink on my coffee. And the whole purpose of me doing all of this is, whatever I've been through in my life, whatever I'm doing in my life, or whatever I experience in my life, I decided to use YouTube just to document myself, my journey, my experience, to share it into the world because I believe the universe have blessed me in so many ways. So it's time to actually give back, to actually help someone else in their own life journey. So, number one principle, before I even talk about the number one principle, I want to define what principle really mean. And I was able to check ChatGPT to define principles. And it says principle is a basic law, it's a basic idea or basic fundamental that helps someone act or think. But we're just gonna go right into it. I'll say number one will be principle of the mind. I've got to put principle of the mind as number one because the mind, once you win over your mind, you win in life in general. So principle of the mind has to come first. And I know I've talked about the mind, how the mind works in my previous videos, but today we're just going to be taking a look at it from a different perspective, or I'm going to be explaining this in a different way, how I'm here, how my mind even work. I want you to know one thing about the mind. The mind is filled with fear, with doubt, anxiety, depression. The mind is filled with love. The mind is filled with a lot of good things as well. But oftentimes, I think we as human, we have a way of holding on to the bad stuff than the good stuff. So yeah, I will talk about one thing with fear and doubt that I've actually realized for my own self is a fear and doubt 99% of time. Fear and doubt is really not legit. Are just limitation that maybe limitation of you trying something new. You scared of the unknown. You scared of what is going to happen next. Either you talking to that girl, either you starting up a new business, or going on a new adventure. Oftentimes this is where fear make their noise, and 99% of time when you finally take that bold step, like, I don't know, I'm not going to listen to fear. You take that bold step, you walk and talk to that girl. You take that bold step, go on that adventure. You take that bold step and do something that you really want to do. You end up like, fear and doubt are 99%, they are not real. Now, contrary, I would say with depression and anxiety, wanting these are negative vibration, these are low frequency as well. They are bad thoughts, but at the same time, one thing I've actually realized is, I do acknowledge these thoughts. I don't know for you guys, but I do acknowledge that anxiety, depression is real, and I do welcome them. I try to understand them, but one thing I don't do is stay in that flow for a long time. I don't stay in that flow for a long time by me, switching my thoughts. Yeah, good and bad is part of you, man. I went to the bar the other. Tell you a quick story. I went to the bar the other day, and I was able to talk to this young, beautiful female, and I got a new perspective, a new kind of view of life as well. She was, we was talking, but I'm just going to keep this short to the main point where, the conversation I have with her, I was able to pick, new knowledge or gain wisdom from what she said to me. She said there are two God, a God the supreme God that governs everything. But and again, they are God in this, the God of this world, and that is something new to me. Because but I do understand where she's coming from. That there is a supreme God and there is a God of this world as well. The God of this world is filled with like pain, want to actually drain you down for real. But yeah, back to anxiety, I do acknowledge them. I do accept them, but I don't stay in that flow for a long time. I try to get myself out. Either it's going for a walk, going to a restaurant just to actually talk to people and just kind of like, get rid of that uh low frequency energy out of me. But yeah, with the principle of the mind is you just having to understand yourself, knowing that you are both the God and you are both the monster of your life, and there's nothing that out there can do to you than what you do to yourself. Knowing that you have the power over your mind, you can definitely direct and act on your thoughts by self-awareness. Number two that I will be talking about will be principle of society. And the principle of society, I believe this is a big one because we live in a society where they want us to fit in. We live in a society where they are grooming us. I would say they are grooming us to be what they want us to be. Not what the creator of us. Many people are not living the life that they want to live because they've been groomed to become, yeah, you got to fit in, you have to fit in a perfect picture how we want you to look. One thing with the principle is one thing that I've actually done, that I'm actually doing right now. It's a hard pill to swallow for me, because it took me a long time. I'm a kind of person that I do care, even though I don't know if I don't know a person, but I've seen them doing bad or spreading negativity. I do care. It hurts me. Like, why is this person doing this? Why is this person doing this? And I try to, help people, but I've come to realize that there's principles to this, man. If you want to survive in this society, there's principle. And the principle is, society will always be society. And what I mean by society is what makes society society is you and I. You and I make this society. Without you and I, there won't be no society. And I've realized it's a hard pill to swallow. Just leave people where they are. You can I can't there's a saying that you can't save anyone, you can only save yourself. And this is a hard pill that I had to like swallow, that I can't do anything about nobody. Society will always be society. And the image in which I view society, I believe society is like a huge school bus. There are a lot of crowd in it, there are a lot of people in it, maybe your family, your loved one, that girl that you like, that man that you're interested in, you see them in there, but for some reason you don't know you don't know the driver, or you don't know where the driver is driving to. But you see people that you love, you see people that that inspire you. You just hop on this bus. It's really crazy because this is how society really works. But the principle for you to be self-aware, and sometimes for you to realize, before you can realize the principle of society, maybe you're 18, maybe you're 30, and for you to have the courage to actually step off that bus, now you going your own route, taking every step intentionally, knowing that this is where I want to go to. How you gonna get there, you don't really know. Maybe it's by car, maybe it's by leg, maybe it's by flying, maybe it's by crawling. I think Martin Luther King said it's better: if you can't fly, walk. If you can walk, crawl. By all means, keep moving. you know and this is one code that I do agree with. You have to keep moving. As soon as you get your awareness, as soon as you get your consciousness, you realize, this how the society really works. It's the principle is for you to take yourself off that society bus and walk your own path. And yes, I'm not going to deny it takes a lot of courage, it takes a lot of boats there for you to actually get off that bus, because sometimes it can be lonely. And lonely is what many people do not want. Many people don't want to be lonely. I believe the final destination for me will be to find peace within myself, to find love within myself, and to be loved by others, to be loved by, even with this my channel, all I'm craving, all I want is to be loved by other people, to actually see people who think like me, to build a community that of like-minded, because again, no one in this world can live this life by itself. You need people around you for sure. But number three that I will be talking about, that I've actually realized, is principle of the money. And this is going to be short because there's no magic, there's no trick to it. As much as society have actually tricked us into believing it's small, you have to gain more degree, you have to go to school, you have to do this, you have to do that. Even me myself, I've worked 2, 3 jobs thinking, yes, I'm going to make more money, 2, 3 jobs. Trust me, thinking back at it, I'm no regrets, no regret at all. But I'm able to think back at it. I'm like, you know what? This is not you living your intended life. You wake up from 6 a.m., you're coming back at 10, sometimes 11 p.m. It's like, dude, you're not even living your life. You're out here just being slave all for money. And this is how the system got us, man. Money, they know we need money. As much as I've said in the past that money does not exist, money is not real. To be honest with you, you need money to survive in this society. You need money, and I think money can actually buy you a certain level of happiness, whereby you can actually live in the kind of life that you actually dream of. You can buy yourself a nice good meal. You can actually go on that vacation that you want to go to. You could probably take care of your mama, take care of your loved one. This is what money is definitely, what this is what comes with money. But the principle is you working on yourself. It's not by getting more degrees. It's not by getting that PhD or masters. It's by you working more on yourself. Let's take a look at the athletics. Maybe the basketball player, the football player, the soccer player, or the artist, the whatever. Compare them to a doctor, compare them to a lawyer, compare them to an engineer. Sometimes I see these basketball, they are making tons of money. So I think the best way to actually make money is you working on yourself. If it's whatever skills that you like, if it's working out, if it's whatever it is, maybe cooking, whatever it is, just work more on your skill. That way you can actually make more money. That's it, is principle. Not get going to school, not doing all of that. And I'll tell you, this last week I went to see a friend that I haven't seen for the past maybe 4 or 5 years. And the first thing he said when he see me is like, yo, you're a rich man. Looking at me deep inside my mind, like, dude, you don't really know my bank account if you calling me a rich man. But I do believe it though, because I know for right now my bank account, is just a mistake in that numbers. I know for sure. But he looked at me and was like, "Oh, you're a rich man, man. You look different from what I see in the past. You're different. The way you carry yourself is like you're a rich man." That's what I'm saying. The best way to actually do it is you working on yourself. And sometimes when I look at myself in the mirror, I said to myself, dude, physically and even mentally, the way I carry myself is, it's a huge shift. But this is all thanks to God, not by my power. I thank God for blessing me in so many ways. But yeah, this is the principle of how, if you want to live a free life, don't chase more job or don't chase more degree. Don't listen to what society is saying. Society will always be society. And this is key to me as well, because I've always cared. But I know, right now, the man that I know, nobody cares. Nobody cares. Society do not even care. But again, at the same time, you have to just do what you're gonna do to get to where you want to go to, because again, the world is yours. Society is trying to pull you in with their noise and everything, but do not listen. Do not listen. Just aim high because there are other people who are already there, who have good energy, whereby you can definitely attract positive things. So the principle of society is do not listen to society. Do what make you happy and keep being positive in your vibration. And with the mind, knowing that the mind is, the thought is always random, learn how to work with your mind, not against your mind. Do not fight with the mind. The more you fight with it, the more it's going to do more damage to you.